You know, sometimes I wish I could go back like 5 years and just like give myself like a book, like here you go, this is for you. I have this book. Just read it and you'll change your future for the better. Honestly, like if what I'm gonna tell you right now is probably one of the things that I honestly just, most people don't really know this. Only a very small percentage of people actually know what I'm about to tell you right now. And it's going to change completely how you think about finances, because for me at least, finances are very important. And when I was younger, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking about, oh, I want to be successful. I was trying to skip a phase. And yeah, you can go for the success phase and not have to go through the financial phase first. But you know uh, like I said, it's better to bring, like, if you're going to something, it's better to make it by levels than just like trying to just reach for the moon in one go. Because what's gonna happen is you're not gonna have a floor, right? You're just gonna and fall straight down. So today I'm gonna tell you something that honestly makes sense, but figuring this out is completely life changing, and that is the title of this video, which is called that. Money should work for you, not the other way around. What does that even mean? When I was younger, I used to think that money was something you just earn and then you save and then you retire, but you just basically save a bunch of it. No, you can actually just invest it into cash generating assets, and they can actually make money for you. And it doesn't have to be a lot. You can make it by steps. Because what happened to me is that I didn't want to like start investing, because if I had like $100, like I put that into like the stock market and I make like $2, I'm like, that's not enough. But what if you could put that $100 into something like Ethereum, and it pays you 4% annual percentage yield, which essentially means you make, I think, $4 every year for the rest of your life. For the $1,000 or the $100, it's like four. Yeah, $100 is four. 1,000 would be $40 a year. Now you're starting to see it in the way that you should see it, right? You don't have $1,000. You have $40 a year for the rest of your life. It doesn't make sense like at the beginning because it's so small and you only have $100. But if you do the phases correctly, let's say you prepare yourself for the strategy that money works for you, not the other way around. And ever since you start from 18, right? You don't have debt, which essentially, if you're in no debt, you're already ahead of 90% of people, because debt is essentially, like I always say, it's modern slavery, but debt is essentially you doing compound for other people, because the APY interest, you're essentially doing the thing that I want you to do for yourself. You're doing it for somebody else. You're essentially becoming their debt slave. And this strategy, what it will do is it will make you the slave master, which sounds absolutely insane. And if you can do this from like a young age, you can essentially semi-retire at 25, 26. And that means that you can take that free time that you otherwise would be working, right? And essentially build your business, which is phase 2. This is how I wish I would have done this, instead of like actually having to work and then now I have this fancy place. But if this doesn't work out and I don't put enough time on it, I'm essentially going to be a wage slave, because I have to pay these bills whether this succeeds or not. I have to work the full-time job even if you don't want to, and that time could have been used for something like these videos, for example. So just getting this out of the way as soon as you can would be the best idea, especially if you're like the average person and their parents are like financially struggling, and you would think at their old age they would figure this out, but they didn't. I'm not bitter, guys, I swear. I'm not bitter. I'm just kidding. I'm not bitter at all, guys. Actually, I'm really grateful for my parents. They might have not told me finances, but they took care of me. So you should always be grateful for your parents, even if they were shitty. But anyway, guys, let's just go back to the strategy. So the way that I like to do this is by phases. So phase 0 is essentially debt. You cannot do this strategy until all the debt is paid off, or maybe if you have debt, have really low interest debt, no credit cards, no personal loans. Student loans might be acceptable because they're like 4%. Maybe a car, if it's under a certain amount, like $300 a month, that it makes sense, because especially if you the car side gig. So if you use it like for side gigs and you make money from it, like it's not actually a liability, it's an asset, because you use it to generate money. So I don't think having a car payment is a bad thing, unless it's like a ridiculous car payment, like a $500-$600 a month car payment. That's ridiculous. But anyway, essentially, if you have only 2-3 debt payments, you don't have a lot to take out of your money. You're able to keep some every month. that is essentially your freedom capital. It's not leftover, it's freedom capital. That is the money that you can put every month to work for the rest of your life, and you never have to essentially get the money that it gives you from that money, you know? I think there's a really interesting saying that compound interest is one of the wonders of the world, and it is because after a certain point, the contribution isn't as big as the growth. So what you're essentially doing is you're building a snowball, and then that snowball pays you for you essentially being the owner of it. So, of course, that's just one of the scenarios. My favorite scenario, and the one that I honestly wish I knew when I was younger, is dividend portfolios. Now, there's actually something more profitable than dividends. Well, it used to be. Now, I don't know, because cryptocurrencies, the thing changed so very, very drastically. And that is mining rigs. So if you look at mining rigs are essentially what I consider a passive dividend yield. You essentially put lower capital into this equipment that works for you. Yeah, it requires electricity and maintenance, but honestly, it's really fun if you're into computer building. It can be really, really fun. And I remember a year ago, you could make for every $1,000 in crypto, if you buy 3 GPUs, you can make $10, which is $1,000 for $5-6, which is absolutely insane, and it blows away any staking that you would have done with the cryptocurrency. Of course, but if you look at the crypto, it went up exponentially, so you technically would have made more money in crypto. Anyway, that's a long story. What I'm trying to say, guys, is that there's definitely different ways. I did the mining thing. I don't do it anymore. You can see my mining rig here. It made money. It actually ROI'd, and then I tried to upgrade it again, and then I kind of failed, so I sold it off. And now I'm waiting to see what happens with that, because that's really sad, guys. If you go to the Reddit subreddit, it's really, really, really sad, man. I don't want to cry like that. But anyway, guys, like I was saying, dividends are really important. They can help you a lot, and I'm gonna show you one that honestly I know that you actually have to pay taxes on dividends, so it's essentially just a different form of cash flow. But I mean, you go to a job and you have to pay dividends, you have to pay taxes on that anyway. So what I'm trying to do is replace the time that you'll be using to work for essentially the phase 2, which is building a business, which is where you actually can build massive wealth if you go for it the right way, because you're using that free time to either build more capital, which therefore gives you more free time, or you're using that free time to build a business, which is where actual money you can actually make really good money, because you're never gonna make as much money on a 9 to 5 as in your own business. That's just the truth, And if you look at statistics, you're more likely to fail at business. So why don't you set yourself free financially, so then you can go all in on that business and then actually give it a decent chance of success, But anyway, like I was saying, guys, dividends are super important. They can help you a lot. And let me show you why. Okay, so for this, I actually need my really fancy calculator. And I'm going to show you one of the dividends that I personally think is absolutely amazing. And that is a stock called JEPI, or the JP Morgan Premium Equity Income ETF. Now, let's do the math. Let's say you work a full-time job. You're an 18. I'm leaving this to an 18, but anyway, I'm gonna start with $100 just to make it super easy for anybody. If you're living with parents and you manage to figure this out early, and you actually contribute a decent amount because you have no bills and you have a lot of income, I would put $500-600 a month into this, and it will compound so freaking quick, guys. You would be mind blown. But anyway, let's start with $100, right? So $100 a month would buy you about 2 shares of JEPI every month. So that's what you put. $100, anyone could do that. Honestly, look at side gigs. I'm gonna make a side gig tier list hopefully in the future. And once you see that, you're gonna be like, wow, it's so easy to make $100. It's insane. But anyway, so 2 JEPI shares a month, that would be about $14 in income every year for every $100, by the way. So in a year, you would have 2 shares times 12. That's about 24. In a year, you would have about 24 shares of JEPI, and that would be about $1,200 or so. That is $174 a year in dividends, which monthly comes down to about $14. So for essentially every $1,000, you will get $10 a month for the rest of your life. I think my math is correct. Let me check. Okay, yeah. So for every $1,000, you would get about 20 shares of JEPI, right? And for every 1,000, essentially, you're making about $12.11 a month. That is $145 a year that you don't have to work for the rest of your life. So if you look at this in ratios, guys, like it absolutely blows your mind, because you realize that essentially what you're doing is you're working for the money in the beginning, of course, and then you're taking that money and you're buying time with it instead of spending it, which buys you freedom from having to go to work, which therefore creates like this never-ending cycle of essentially just replacing the time you'll be working with free time, and then you can take that time and build a business. But let's say you actually just you don't care about building a business. You don't want to be a YouTuber, you don't want to be an influencer, you want to be any, you essentially just want to be a 9 to 5 worker, right? Well, if you do this, you're essentially speed running through like financial freedom, because you're essentially replacing the money that you spend on like expenses like rent, a car, loans, and all this other stuff, and you're essentially replacing it with passive income that you generally means that the money that you make from your work stays with you, and you can reinvest it or buy stuff or go on vacation or do whatever you want with it. But personally, the way I like to see it is in ratios, like I said, and I'm gonna about show you like something that was gonna blow your mind, guys. So, okay, let's say you have $10,000 in Jeppy, right? $10,000. You put that in Jeppy, that would be equivalent to about. Sorry, I need to do the math, and it's like at right here right now, so it's gonna be a little difficult. But if you buy 10,000 shares, I wish, $10,000 of Jeppy, that would be about 200 shares. Like an estimate about it, 200 shares, right? That would be $111 a month. So for $10,000, you're gonna get $100 every month for the rest of your life. Yeah, $10,000. Yeah, $10,000, guys. That is absolutely insane. That is, for me, that'll be one day of the month that I never have to work for the rest of my life. And if you keep going ahead, let's say, okay, what if I have $25,000? Well, if you have $25,000, I'm gonna go for 50 shares. Yeah, if you have $25,000, now you're making $272 a month. And I'm actually gonna show you this, guys. Look. $272 a month that you never have to work for the rest of your life. That is absolutely insane. Which about comes down to about $3,000 in a year in annual dividends. So you can see what I mean when you essentially buy back your time. And I mean, obviously it's a high dividend. It pays like 10% a year or something like that. But it's from JP Morgan, which is a really reliable bank. And if you look at the stock, so as you can see, like it's gone up over time, and it's very like safe. At least you can see it. It's one of the safer high dividend stocks. Of course, this doesn't mean that you are gonna make money over time. If you actually look at the chart, it seems kind of flat. But I like to think of it as a savings account that actually pays you and grows up over time. So I think it's a great idea, especially if you're not like the financially savvy person that likes to like, invest and then see your money go up and down, up and down. You're not investing in the company. You're investing on how much the company pays you, which essentially means that you're not worried about selling it anytime soon, because that's not what you're in there. You're not there for the growth. You're there for the income. And that income is the income that you now use to pay your bills, which therefore gives you free time to do whatever you want. I know it's really interesting. Maybe not for you, but I think it's fascinating, especially because it gives you a goal, and a goal is important because it gives you a direction. And if you have a direction, you can go to phase 2, which I'm about to tell you right now what it is. Okay, so of course you build this, and let's say you got to a rhetorical $100,000. So $100,000 is what I consider the first step to freedom. That is my number one goal when you're starting out. Just get to $100,000. Because if you put that in Jeppy, like $100,000 is essentially, if I do my math here, about 1,800 shares of Jeppy, a little bit more than that. And that is essentially $1,000 a month. I don't know if you can see it right there. But it's $1,089 a month that you never have to work for the rest of your life. Which essentially means you can take that $1,000 and... well, now you have that income that you never have to work for the rest of your life. Doesn't that mean you can use that money to go to phase 2, which is build a business? Now, if you live with parents, this would give you the biggest like advantage because you now have income every month that you don't have to work, and you have all this free time. And instead of using that free time to be in a need, not an employment or job or education. I'm gonna make a video on that because when you have your own place, that's actually a very important trap you have to avoid. Hiding from your life. It's gonna be a really interesting video. But anyway, like I was saying, guys, now you have that $1,000 a month that you don't have to ever work for. And let's say you keep your job. Well, you can keep compounding it endlessly until you have like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, which if you do the math, it's not that much. And now you can essentially semi-retire and you don't have to work. You can just travel the world or do whatever you want. But you're gonna notice that when you retire, you're actually gonna want to do something. And this is what a phase 2 is about. Phase 2 is about exiting the workforce early, which is phase 1, and building the dividend trifecta. And then phase 2, which essentially is you build wealth, you create a business. And you can go for this first when you're young, but you're going against the odds, because let's say you want to become a YouTuber, right? And you want to do that full time. Well, you can't, because at 18, what does society tell you to do? Oh, go to college. Oh, go get an education or a high income salary job. So, and then you're living with like parents or you're living with roommates. So you never really have that full freedom of having your own place. So if you build the dividend trifecta and you build this compound of having money that pays you every month, and this is not just with stock market or crypto. You can do this with real estate. Like $100,000 would essentially be about $500 a month in a rental property that goes up in value for the rest of your life. Because you can buy a house for $100,000 in many countries. It doesn't have to be in America. Which here in the U.S. it's like $300,000 for the home price, and that's really high. I'll have to look into it. I'm not a real estate guy. I'm more of like I want a freedom. That's all I care about. So this is where I study. Freedom, financial freedom, so you don't have to work, and then you can take that time to build a business or something that you actually want to do, and not have to go to the wage slave jobs, which are some people are built for that. Personally, I am not. I hate that because they have expectations that are constantly growing up in time. And, I should have expectations of growing myself, my own stuff, not their business, Anyway, sorry for the rant, guys. What I'm trying to tell you is that now that you have this free time, you can build what you want. And you don't have to worry about, I have to get a job to pay for the stuff that I, consume or I have. I have freedom to build a business. And with this business, you can actually create wealth because, phase 2 allows you to climb the percentages of wealth. And what I mean by percentages of wealth is, I'm going to tell you a truth, guys. You will never be really rich until you have your own business. You can work a 9 to 5. You can get $100K a year salary, whatever you want. You're not going to build true wealth because you're going to be tied to that job for years to actually get the money. And then you're going to be miserable because I've never seen a lawyer that's happy. I've never seen a doctor that looks happy. I mean, yeah, sure, they look nice with their fancy cars, but are they free? Not with that debt, I bet. Anyway, I'm sorry for the rant. I'm trying to give you guys a perspective of what I'm actually doing. So anyway, percentages of wealth. Let's look at income as an average, right? So from what I calculated, 80% of people make under $5K a month. And, for a lot of people making $5K a month, that's that's a high income. And the majority, I think the average is $2,000, $3,000 a month. And, it's not bad money to start. But when you're 30, when you're 40, and you only make $2,500 a month, that's not a lot of money. That really isn't. And you're essentially a wage slave for that. You're kind of being exploited. I mean, I don't want to say that working a job is not a good thing. It is a good thing if you can handle it, but you're gonna be trapped there. You're not gonna be able to go above the 5K, and even if you go above and you're in a bunch of debt, you're gonna be on the 10%, which goes after this, which is that 10% make under 10K a month. This is after taxes, by the way. So 10K a month that's fancy money, right? That's like New York money, like engineer, doctor, lawyer, that kind of money, like 10K a month. I'm not going to say it's a bad income. Heck no, it's a really decent income, right? But here's the thing. There's money. That money puts you tied to your profession. You're not essentially free. You have to go to work every single day. You have to be there every single day. And you certainly aren't essentially getting evergreen content, which is things that pay you for you having done them, you have to show up to make the money, essentially what I mean, you know. But then here's a even higher tier than this. This is the 9%. So 9% after the 80%, that's 90% plus 9%. 9% makes between 15K and 50K a month. I would say these are like small businesses. Small businesses that make this amount of money. They're still tied to their business, but here you might have the beginners, the beginner influencers, the people that have online shops. You know, these people, they're not technically free, but if you notice, they make a frick ton of money. Like this, they're making a killing. If you're making 15K a month, right, and you have your own business, that's really solid. That's really nice. This is where you actually like make other people your 80%. You know, the 80% you're like making them, and you're not the 9%. You have like these little bunch of like 80% around you. You know, but you know, I want to give you a perspective on that. So we're already covering the 99%. So 99% only makes until 15K a month. That's the max they're gonna make, right? But then there's the 1%. There's the 1%, and those people can make over $25,000 a month. These are the people that essentially work the least. They work like the fewest hours that you can probably imagine. Do you really think a TikToker works from 9 in the morning till 7 p.m. at night? You know, all they do is like they come up with a schedule, they make their content, they make it as addicting as good as they can because they already master that craft, and that's it. They're done for the day. That's it. That's all they have to do. Let's say a stock investor. Let's say somebody that only like invests their money. They use the dividends, so now they have that $1,000 and they put that $1,000 every month to investing in growth assets, and they know how to manage the investments. And over time, they grow it up into $1 million. Now they can make 15K a month from their dividends. Well, that'd be too much. Maybe like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month in dividends, and then they use those $4,000 in dividends to make money, and maybe they can turn the dividend portfolio into a high growth, high dividend portfolio. Now they have growing assets that grow the dividend and also grow up, you know, give you a dividend for being there. You can make so many stuff once you break that 100K like threshold, and it's gonna blow your mind. But essentially, you know, and then you have the 1%. These are the people that essentially they control the 80 and the 10%. The 9% might be independent because they're small businesses, but they still have to, you know, they're not going to get, well, they can, but they're not going to be as profitable as the 1%. So essentially what I'm trying to give you guys is just a blueprint as to what I would do if I could go back in time and do this early, you know, set myself up, have the dividend trifecta, and then slowly climb up the ladder, climb to phase 2, definitely avoid phase 0, because phase 0, yeah, I mean, you can make more money, but you're in a trap anyway because you have to go into debt to, you know, either fund the lifestyle, which that means you're essentially faking it, or you have to go into debt to make a higher income, and then that higher income puts you in a trap because now you either have to move out to a different state, which means you got to get rent, you got to do all this other stuff. So, you know, it just shows you that if you're prepared for this and you know this early on, you can have a huge advantage. A massive advantage, and you can put this to work early on, so you set yourself free, and now you can do what you want. You know, you can get phase 2, you can do whatever you want. You want to be a full-time YouTuber, you have the time. You want to be an investor, you want to be a day trader, well, now you know you have your $1,000 a month in dividends every month that you can put to grow and, you know, invested in high risk dividend, high risk stocks basically. And now you could be part of the GME and not have anxiety that, oh, I'm gonna lose $1,000 and I'm gonna be broke forever. No, you could ride those waves up and become free anyway, because now you know that you're not risking the $100,000 you've saved up. You're risking the $1,000 that you will still get the next month anyway. So you know, the peace of mind that it gives you to have a source of income every month. That not only that, if you do it by dividends, you essentially have the money there anyway. So if you really wanted to take it out and, I don't know, do something with it, you could. In things like mining rig or like real estate, you can't really cash it out. I guess you could do a refinance mortgage, but now with the interest how they are, the mining rig, the crypto died. So, you know, the only path forward would be dividends until something new shows up. But, you know, doing this stuff early is just going to give you a massive advantage. And, you know, it's just something I wish I knew when I was younger. Like I said, it would be so freaking cool to know this. But anyway, guys, that is an insight as to how to make money work for you and how it should not be the other way around. You shouldn't be the one working for money. In the beginning, you might have to, but you're not doing it because, oh, I need to pay the bills, or, oh, I need to, I need to get a job. No, you're doing it because you have a strategy. And that strategy is that you're getting that money now, you're getting the dough to then make that dough work for you. And then you can take the free time back from having to work. You create a self-fulfilling cycle. And I'll tell you guys, I mean, it might be hard work in the beginning. You might have to do side gigs, which, to be honest, side gigs are actually really hard work. You might have to deliver packages, or you might have to work at a fast food, and you might have to go and work on retail. And it sucks. I'll be honest, it sucks. I've done it. It sucks. You might have to work as security guard in the middle of the night, from 12 to 7. You have to wake up at night to go to work. It sucks. But if you have the knowledge early and you know that you're going to do this temporarily and you're going to escape it, the advantage it can give you will change your life. It will be absolutely insane. So yeah, guys, I just want to show you guys what I'm thinking about and how I'm going to do this. This is my strategy right now. I'm doing a hybrid between having to work a full-time job and building a business. But to be honest, I am in phase 0, so everything that I'm preaching is essentially traps that I am with experience I would have liked to avoid, but I'm gonna escape it somehow. I'm gonna show you guys the journey, and maybe we can get to phase 2 where I can do this full time and I don't have to worry about the income, which would be insane. And holy moly, the content would get so interesting after that. But hey, I'm using the time. Time can also be one of the phase strategies. Maybe you don't worry about the money because your parents gave you $100,000. Well, you can go instantly into dividend trifecta, And now you have all this free time. What do you do with time? You build something you like. You know what you like. Just think about it and you'll figure out what you want to do. Some people just want to go traveling. Some people just want to go make a bunch of money in investing. Some people just want to make videos, or some people just want to be on the computer and do nothing all day. It's up to you, honestly. As long as you can afford it, go for it, right? Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.